Yo, welcome back to the Musicpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Nico Santana. This last weekend, I had an opportunity to interview Nefertiti Gold. She's an independent artist, singer, and producer from the New York, New Jersey area. She's had an opportunity to perform in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and at the South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. With her naturally soothing voice, her ability to play music on the guitar, and being a self-sufficient artist altogether, she's been able to catapult her music career to a new level as an independent artist. Having the ability to be an R&B and neo-soul artist while being a smart businesswoman, she has a lot to say about the topic of music business. But the thing I wanted to highlight in this particular episode is her ability to take criticism and feedback seriously and professionally so that she can better her artistry, her craft, and even her music business all around. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss a beat, and of course this episode's brought to you by DistroKid. More on them later. Agreeing to this. I appreciate you. I've seen your content, like I said, and you're super talented. Like, you're amazing. You're an amazing producer, an amazing artist. You have great videography, and you clearly have a following because of your talent. But you also have a business side of you that I wanted to expose here and share with the audience and make sure that they also get some of those gems that you are showcasing, because you're not only talented, you're smart, you have the right tools in place to make sure that you have a good career as an independent artist or as an artist in general. So anyways, let me give you the floor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It's definitely been a long day because I still juggle like that day job, like hustle thing happening. So it's like the transition from you got to be in corporate mode and you got to switch into like creative mode and trying not to get like burnt out at the same time. So I'm feeling good, but it's just a long day. But I guess that's typical with this lifestyle.
Yeah. So we were talking behind the scenes, and so you have Haitian parents, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so there's an expectation for you to kind of follow this one path. So talk to me a little bit about your upbringing and how you came into the music world and how you got to where you are today.
Of course. Like you said, I do have Haitian parents. They are from Haiti. So like me and my brother, we are first generation US born. Like, we're supposed to be like the American dream. So the typical route that most Haitian kids go through, even like the Africans as well, like African kids or even the Indian kids, it's like the doctor, lawyer, engineer like route. Like, education is the key to success, and it's the only like route to success. And honestly, I mean, I've just always had this desire to do music. It just never really aligned as far as like being a kid, because it's like financially it was like one thing, and I'm sure like that could have been dealt with, but then it was an issue of like, because my mom was a single parent, we kind of relied on our grandmother for the most part, and she did spend a lot of like my years like going back and forth between like Haiti and the US. Like, I think that has to do with like the visa or something. Like, you have to keep going back and forth between both of the countries. So a lot of the times like that would kind of conflict with like when I would normally go for lessons, because it would kind of cut in between just kind of being consistent. So that was cut like as a kid. And I know like the first time that I got like a piano was because like my grandpa gave me like this toy piano. And I was starting to actually learn by ear, but then like one day I don't know, I spilled milk into it and it's like completely killed it. And unfortunately it just was never replaced. So essentially I just waited until like maybe I was 19, 20-ish, and I was kind of working part-time at like supermarkets, and I kind of saved up the money to like take some lessons on the side while I was still in school. So that's kind of how the route started as far as like music, and having like almost like a 10-year gap from when I was like a little kid to like being able to afford it like in my early 20s.
So you produce now, so from 1920 to today, you are essentially self-funded, not self-taught. Obviously you paid for lessons, but at the same time you grinded to get the resources that you needed to become a producer. So between the time that you started learning the piano to now, what was your motivation? Were you trying to be an artist? Were you trying to be a producer? What was your end goal?
I feel like during those years, like the end goal shifted a lot because I did take lessons, but like if I was broke, I kind of relied on the internet. So I did go back and forth between traditional lessons and semi self-taught. I remember at one point randomly when I was like 14, it was like a period of time where like right before the internet started getting weird, I had like a cracked version of Fruity Loops, nowadays known as FL Studio because it's cool, right? I would like make these beats and I would send it to like random people on the internet. And it's just like, I'm 14 years old. I really shouldn't be talking to these grown ass men, but somehow like that's how it lined up. But, and then whatever, the computer crashed. As far as like the early 20s go, while I was still taking lessons, I wasn't a producer at that point, even though I've always been interested in like the engineering side. I was never really a producer at that point. I did like the traditional, like take my guitar, go to open mics and just trying my best. And I don't know, I think what motivated me was just the fact that like a lot of people just said I sucked. And I was just like, I just didn't want to suck anymore. That's really what happened. Like I just like my brother at one point, he was just like, can you stop singing? Like you sound horrible. And it wasn't one of those things where like it's a love-hate sibling thing. Like no, like he really said I sucked. And it's like, I don't want to suck anymore. So
now this podcast is brought to you by DistroKid, and DistroKid in my opinion is the best platform for independent artists to distribute their music. Now, one of the best things that independent artists can do initially is start to record cover songs. This gives them the ability to both find a similar audience to artists that they aspire to be like, that they're inspired by, and even taking some of their music or their sound and starting to implement bits and pieces of them or being inspired by them all around. Now, the great thing about DistroKid is you can actually upload and distribute cover songs using DistroKid itself. They take care of all the licenses, and for $12 a year, you can go ahead and distribute your cover song without having to worry about getting the licenses or getting those approvals. Now, if you're not already signed up to DistroKid, don't you worry. I have a discount code that's available all year round, regardless of whether or not it's Black Friday. distrokid.com/VIP/Nico Santana, or in the description below. Go ahead and sign up, get 7% off an already unbeatable price. Start uploading your cover songs today and watch your music career unfold before your eyes. Now, back to the podcast. Yeah, you had a love for it, you had an affinity for it, and the feedback that you received wasn't discouraging. It was enough to actually like help you level up, right? It was enough to
it didn't feel great either, you know.
Yeah, but that's cool because I want to speak into that because I feel like a lot of artists don't want to take feedback. They don't want to put their stuff out there, and they don't want to be challenged and say, or whether it's one thing in putting your stuff out there and hearing people challenge your talent the way that you feel about your music, and then hearing that feedback and implementing it, right? You did that with your brother, and then continuing to level up. Because when I hear your stuff, I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. That sounds beautiful. Like I don't listen to your music and I'm like, that sucks. From there, you were able to eventually get to the place where you are. So between the time that you were talking to old men on the on the internet and now, so that was what time frame?
That was like, so damn, I'm gonna age myself. But that's
no, don't age yourself.
It's almost 20 years.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm 31, so
everyone thinks I'm younger than what I am, but like I'm 33, so like I'll just straight lace be like, yo, I'm 22, and then like I could run with it, but I don't mind.
Yeah, no, I love it because I feel like the trajectory for most musicians is you have 5 to 10 years to actually hone in on your skills, implement what feedback people have, and then create a career from it, right? And that's just the baseline. That's just the baseline. And then from there, you can catapult to a professional musician. Now, there are some people who are lucky who have like genes or whatever that, or mentors or parents or whatever the case is that can expedite that timeline. But for us who came from other countries, sometimes we don't have that luxury, right? So
no, not at all.
Tell me how you feel about that.
I feel like had I made it like in the earlier years, I wouldn't have lasted. Like I don't feel like it was meant for me to happen at that time. Even though I thought I wanted it, looking back at it, I was not actually prepared. I didn't have the work ethic. I have the work ethic now. Like, I get it now. And I understand that, like, patience is so key, you know? You have to really have the work ethic, but you have to have like the patience. Like, if you want to practice and have like amazing guitar skills or piano skills, you have to be so diligent to work on like the boring stuff, but you have to be patient enough to let yourself grow into it. And I feel like at that time, had somebody given me the opportunity to like travel the world, this, that, and the third, I wouldn't even have lasted to this point here. I would have been burnt out. I wouldn't have put in the work. And I would probably be in debt to some label. So I think being a little bit older and then starting to like catapult, like I'm just in a completely different space. Like I don't feel like I'm in a position where I would be taken advantage of either, because I know myself a whole lot more than I would have been in like my early 20s versus now.
Right. So self-awareness, life experience, right?
Hell yeah.
Knowledge in the corporate world, or just understanding the grind, are all things that I feel have helped you get to the place that you are today. What sort of struggles did you face? What sort of gems did you take in from experiences? Like, can you speak into that for people who are probably 20, 19, and they want to get to the place that you are today?
I think one of the pivotal points that really helped me is like having at least one person in my circle that'll tell me the truth. Because there have been times, well, I remember this one specific time, me and one of my friends, we're still very good friends today. I had this one show. I thought first of all, I already thought I did not do well. I thought I was trash. But everyone in the audience kept saying, "Oh my God, great job, great job." And then I started to believe it. And then my one good friend literally was just like, "That was the worst performance I have ever seen you done." And it wasn't even malice. It was just the absolute truth. And I needed that, because if I didn't have him telling the truth, then I wouldn't really be too self-aware to improve. So like, I think having people in your circle that's not a bunch of yes men, that people that aren't afraid to hurt your feelings, because that's what true friends do. Like, they'll tell you the truth. I think that's so important for the sake of growth. As far as what else happened between 19 and 20, I mean, I really sucked during this years. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if I say like I've been doing this for about 10 years, I would say like the first 5 or 6 are like not like my best material, but you kind of have to embrace the suck in order to like get to the good points, right? You're going to always create stuff that you don't like, but you really got to get past that. You're not going to be like great when you start, but you have to start to be great, and you have to just keep doing it and get all the bullshit out. And it's just, I don't know, you just have to really like go at it. If you don't have like a natural knack for it, in a sense, like it's just work, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's talent, and then there's skill that you build as the years progress, and practice, right? At the end of the day, I was talking to one of my friends who has seen the podcast grow, and I told him, I feel like I'm kind of like in the JV version of this podcast, meaning that like the junior varsity, like I'm not varsity, I'm not professional yet. There's still a long way to go and grow, but I know it's gonna take some time to build. Same thing with the music stuff. Like you may have 5 years where you completely are horrendous, but in your eyes, right? Because you're thinking of yourself from a professional lens. But if you put yourself in the freshman category and the JV category, you're probably on par with most artists, right? So I'm glad you had somebody that challenged you. Yeah, like it's a coach, it's a mentor, it's somebody who's going to challenge you to say, hey, you're not professional yet. These are the ways that you can improve. You're here. This is where you need to be. So I decided over the pandemic that, like, you know what, like the only way that I'm going to get better is if I decide like I'm just a forever student, and just kind of be open to learning new things. So as far as like what I've been trying to work on recently is just kind of improving like my basics, like the basic music theory, basic piano, basic guitar, and
really honing in some of like the basic stuff that I learned as far as like music production goes. As far as like the way that the business model is structured, I only probably recently, just within this past year, finally found somebody who's willing to help manage me and probably take some things off my plate. It's definitely been a transitional period because I'm just so used to being self-managed, and like I literally check my emails 7 days a week. Like I could be at a bar at 11 p.m. and I will still check my email, like just in case. And it seems really anal, but you'd be surprised how many times I really will get like a business email that came in at like 9:59 p.m. and I will literally answer it like right then and there. I don't care about waiting until 8 a.m. the next day because I feel like I'll fuck around and forget. And I don't know. I've noticed that over the years, like being anal in that sense has been one of the main reasons why I've gotten random opportunities, because I answer emails on time. Like you're not going to have a time period where you send me a correspondence and it takes me over a week to get back to you, in a sense. Like I don't like that at all, because I feel like because I'm an underdog, I need to be on top of it even more so. Yeah. That
makes sense. I think you touched on two things that I want to really highlight here is mastering the basics. Like I've heard time and time and again that the best players are not the ones that overcomplicate things or are good at complex items. They are just really good at the basics. They're exceptionally good at the foundational things, that whether it's sports, business, music, whatever it is, they're just really good at the basics. And people forget that. They want to go from basic to complex to moderately complex, whatever the case is, and they forget about the basics. And if you forget about the basics, you're done for. You know, so the fact that you're going back to the basics, that's awesome. That puts you ahead of the league. Number two, you are you follow through, you follow up, and you're also on top of your business, and you sweat the details, which is important. Like you have to, like at every level, I feel like you have to sweat the details. You know, that may just be me, but I feel like the fact that you sweat the details, whether it's your I was watching one of your reels earlier today, and you're like, how do I make this, this October Beattober thing a little bit more interesting? And the fact that you're sweating the details means that you're actually invested in your beats, your video production, your audience, right?
Absolutely.
Most people could care less, and so it means that you're actually like, you actually care. You
really
put time.
Care.
You put time into
really
So it levels you up, and I feel like that's one of those things that, like, whether you're an overthinker or you're lazy, like one of the two extremes, like pay attention to the details, get back to the basics. I love that you said that. I love that. Now moving forward, what are your next steps? What are you hoping to accomplish in your music career? What's the next 5-10 years look like? Or maybe you're not even sweating that. Like, what's tomorrow look like for you?
I feel like the past 2 years is because of the pandemic, like being in the crib so much. I just I do want to get back to like actually doing shows. I think I've only done maybe a handful in the last couple years, just because it's been weird with like mandates, and we're finally at a point where things are finally fairly normal. And I did take the past 2 years off, in a sense, to learn music production, because I only really just started producing all of my own music during lockdown. Like that's during 2020, that fateful year that we all went through in that March of 2020. That's when I started. So I completely revamped how I perform in the first place. Like there is no showing up to open mics with just a guitar and vocals. There's a laptop, there's a computer, there's controllers, there's vocal effects that I'm like controlling live. Like I have multiple sends and returns happening in my projects. Like I'm switching BPMs last minute. Like I have to remember words and chords, and I just completely changed how I do a live performance. And I want to actually start performing a whole lot more and showcasing what I've been working on literally for almost 2 years.
are you hoping to get a band? Are you hiring musicians? What's that look like for you in the near future?
Honestly, I'm a one-woman band, and I like it like that. I've been in the situation where everybody says, "Hey, Neff, you should be in a band," and then I finally find band members, and then they're the most flakiest people ever, and then I finally perform with the band. And then people are just like, I don't know, Neff, maybe you should not perform with the band. And it's just like, what do you people want? But like, as far as like that goes, I'm really content for the time being a one-woman band, because I finally feel like I'm at a point where I've learned enough of the technical stuff to finally get my ideas out my head. And it's so freeing to not have to try to communicate what I hear in my head to somebody that doesn't understand what's going on in here. So I kind of want to explore that some more. Like, I'm having fun and getting my ideas out my head, and I'm not really ready to have other people's opinions like filter through that just yet. Like, I still have so much in here that I want to get out, and that's kind of where I'm focused on right now. And I really do like the idea that like when I perform, I can bring all parts of the track. I can do the drums, I can do the piano, I can do a random guitar solo if needed. Like, I'm really happy that I'm at a point where I can at least explore these new skills that I've developed. And I don't know, I'm not opposed to working with other musicians. I'm just I'm still exploring what I can do first before like introducing like new ideas and new parties into it.
Any projects in the works? What are you working on right now?
I am working on my next EP, which would be Situationships Volume 2. It seems like the people really respond well to toxicity in the climate that we're in. So it's going to be more tracks on that one. I dropped the first version a little while back. I think almost a year and a half now. And for me, I guess in the grand scheme of things, to other people, like the streams might not be a lot, but for me, it was a very big deal. It was like the first time I hit like 1,000 streams within like the first week as an independent artist, versus like other stuff that I dropped, which was getting like 10 streams. You feel me? Right. So I was really proud of that. And it was like that first project where it was all of my ideas. It was all of my production, the mixing, the mastering, like all of it. I even did the cover art to it. It was just like 100% pure creative, like me. Like, it was not in anybody else's hands but myself. And it was the most successful thing at that point for me. I was just like, okay, there's something here, because this is the most successful that I've had, and I was the one that was 100% in control. And people responded really well to it. So I do have some more toxicity to write about. So a volume 2 to that is definitely on the way. I do have a performance at the end of the month on November 30th in the city. Well, not in the city. It's in Brooklyn. It's through Major Stage, and it's going to be the second time I get to actually showcase like me performing with all of these moving parts and essentially taking a full produced track and doing it live in front of people.
I love it. New York, beautiful state. Brooklyn, it's awesome. I feel like 80 to 90% of the people that put out music on Spotify can't get 10 streams, can't get 20 streams. You know, the fact that you got 1,000 streams is not a little feat. That's a huge feat as an independent artist. You know what I mean?
It is. Like, I was shocked. Like, I wasn't expecting that number. Like, I was thinking like, ooh, I wonder if I can get like 100 streams, and like for it to come back like at 1,000, I was like, whoa, this is actually happening. Like, it's happening. The music is happening. It was surreal.
All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode was brought to you by DistroKid and produced by my media company, NTS Media LLC. I'm your host, Nico Santana. Feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'm sure you will enjoy listening to this one as well.